The average Player FC fan is objectively superior to the average club fan who supports the same club for their entire lifetime. And here's why. I used to be a big Barca and Messi fan. I was in love with Barca's tiki-taka style. I loved how they passed the ball into the net every other goal. I loved Messi's aesthetic dribbling. I loved his terrible big game scoring. But down the line, something changed. Over the years, I gradually lost interest in the tiki-taka playing style. Now, I'm not saying I don't like it anymore. It's still okay to me, but it doesn't stand out nearly as much as before. I don't see anything particularly special about it anymore, at least just for me. I started appreciating other types of playing styles. Like, for example, Klopp's gegenpressing, or Mourinho's counterattacking. Or on some occasions, I would even enjoy Simeone parking the bus in big Champions League games. And I started gravitating towards players who could take over big games by actually scoring. So in other words, my taste changed. I started preferring players who could actually cause direct threat in big games and not just fancy dribbling with little end product. So in other words, my taste changed. And you know what? I stopped supporting Barca. I stopped idolizing Messi. I became an Mbappe fanboy, and I started supporting other clubs from time to time. In other words, I switched my allegiances based on the change in my taste. I stopped supporting the same team and player. If my taste changes, why should I still support the same teams and players? It makes no sense. I'm not benefiting from it. Like, if Barca and Messi suddenly pay me $1 million to support them, then yeah, of course I'll support them. I'll spend 5 hours making video essays about how getting knocked out of the Champions League quarterfinals while your biggest rivals win the Champions League three-peat and ghosting in big games year after year is a good thing. I'd be more than willing to do it if they were offering me that money. But they aren't. I'm not benefiting from it. So that gets me back to my point about how Player FC fans are generally speaking more superior. Why are they more superior? Because they're more logical. They're more open-minded. They adapt to change. Now, am I saying every single Player FC fan is logical? Of course not. You have cultists who support their player regardless of what happens. Their player can have the worst game ever, and they'll still say they had a good game. These are cultists. But for the most part, I believe that Player FC fans are more logical. They're more open-minded. They have a system based on meritocracy, based on justice. A logical system where they gravitate towards teams and players that actually satisfy their needs. At the end of the day, it's just entertainment. It's illogical to keep supporting teams and players even when your tastes change, when they don't bring you that same entertainment. And this isn't even really about glory hunting. For example, I like Klopp's gegenpressing. Even in years where his teams are performing like utter crap, I still root for his teams in most of his games. For example, Dortmund in the 1-4-1-5 season. Liverpool last season. I still rooted for them in many games because I enjoy their playing style. And let's say your taste doesn't change much over time. Well, actually, let's just say that your taste stays completely the same over time. That still doesn't make sense because clubs are often changing so much. What you're supporting at one moment can be a completely different club in a few years' time with completely different players. Play style. Like, for example, prime Barca, they played dominant tiki-taka possession football, where they would dominate their opponent in most games. Last season, Barca completely didn't play like that. They played very defensively. They played what most Barca fans must have considered very boring football. So in this case, why still support them? They're not entertaining anymore. It doesn't make sense to support them. You're only supporting them based on some tribal sense of loyalty, which isn't justified. They're not paying you to support them. The only club fans that I can respect are Arsenal fans, because they clearly are masochists with a self-humiliation kink. Arsenal are actually consistent. Year after year, they bottle the big games. They bottle the big moments. If I had a self-humiliation kink, I would be an Arsenal fan as well. They're consistently bottlers. We Player FC fans, we need to fight back. We need to start looking down on the club fans, the orthodox, the backwards, illogical club fans who stick to the same club regardless of what happens, who suffer needlessly for institutions, often corrupt, that don't repay them. And I believe that with our collective efforts, more and more people will wake up. More and more people will realize that the right way is to adapt, to support teams and players based on what your taste is, based on what brings you entertainment, not an illogical sense of loyalty to centuries-old institutions that don't give a fuck about you. All right, peace.